Welcome to Walwa Sandway. Today we're talking about Anthony Loke and his perspective on the Urban Renewal Bill. It's a topic that's definitely stirred up a lot of conversation recently.
Indeed it has. And what's really striking is how clearly he's framing it. Not as a Democratic Action Party initiative specifically, but more as a collective government effort.
Yeah, he seemed very direct about that, saying it's a decision from the Unity Government Cabinet as a whole, not just, his party's agenda.
Exactly. And that framing is, I think, quite significant, especially given the dynamics of a coalition government.
Okay, so let's dig into that a bit, this idea of collective responsibility. He argues it's basically wrong to pin the bill on the Democratic Action Party just because he's the one presenting it.
Right. He's making the point that any bill that goes to Parliament, it's supposed to be a product of the entire cabinet agreeing.
So how does that actually work in practice within the unity government? I mean, with different parties involved. What does it tell us about maybe party influence versus this collective front?
Well, it brings up that classic question, doesn't it? How policies are seen versus how they're actually made. The system, as he describes it, isn't really set up for one minister to just push their own party's agenda. Once it gets to Parliament, it should, in theory, have the backing of all the ministers. He even used examples like, if a United Malays National Organization minister tables something, it's not automatically just their bill. Same for the People's Justice Party.
Okay.
So it's a pretty pointed clarification. It suggests they're really trying to present this united front, despite, the different parties in the coalition. It's about shared governance.
It does sound like he's pushing back quite hard against any narrative trying to split the government's work along party lines. Almost like saying, look, we're working together on this.
Precisely. The collective responsibility angle is paramount for him here. It sends a message that these are shared goals, shared solutions, not just one party's win or problem.
Which must be important in a coalition like this one, where different parties might naturally have, different priorities or voter concerns?
Absolutely. These kinds of public statements, they aren't just talk. They're about building legitimacy, showing the government is working as one unit. If every bill was seen as just one party's pet project, it could undermine the whole idea of a unified government.
Right.
So this focus reinforces the image of a government delivering national solutions, not just sort of fragmented interests. It's crucial for stability and public trust.
Okay, but here's an interesting twist. He also says the Democratic Action Party's agenda is actually about helping people, including, providing better living environments.
Ah, yes. That's the clever part, isn't it?
So while he's saying the bill isn't only a Democratic Action Party thing, he connects its aims directly back to what his party stands for. It's a neat way to align without claiming, sole ownership.
It really is. It shows a nuanced approach. He's not stepping away from his party's principles, improving lives, better housing. He's saying those principles are being achieved through this collective government action. It allows the party to champion the outcome, which probably resonates well with their supporters, but frames it as a win for the whole government, for all Malaysians. It avoids looking purely partisan.
And another key piece he brought up was the history, that this urban renewal bill isn't entirely new.
Right, that it was taking shape even under previous governments. He mentioned the National Alliance administration considering something similar.
Yeah, which suggests the problem is trying to solve these old, rundown buildings isn't a new issue tied to just one political side.
Exactly. It underlines that this is a long-standing urban challenge. It's not really a partisan football. It's a necessity, especially in cities like Kuala Lumpur, where you see this aging infrastructure quite clearly.
So the fact that different governments, even with different political makeups, saw the need for something like this, what does that tell us? Maybe about why it didn't happen sooner. Were there specific roadblocks?
That's a great question. It strongly suggests the core issues, aging buildings, needing modern urban planning, are just fundamental problems for Malaysia's development. The hurdles, likely the classic ones.
Like what?
Balancing development against individual property rights, getting everyone on board. Imagine trying to get unanimous agreement from hundreds of owners in an old flat complex. It's incredibly difficult.
Okay, the consent issue.
Consent, compensation, figuring out the legal mechanisms. Previous attempts probably got bogged down in those complexities. Finding a way to move forward without huge public backlash over property rights is always the challenge.
So this history kind of frames the current bill as maybe the latest attempt to finally crack that nut, to solve a persistent problem.
Precisely. It positions it not as some sudden political move, but as an evolution of policy trying to address a real ongoing nationwide issue that past governments also wrestled with.
It makes sense. Many of us know those areas, right? Old flats, older shop lots, maybe. It makes urban renewal feel less abstract and more about places we actually see.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
grounds it in reality. So the bill itself, fundamentally, is a mechanism, right? It's trying to tackle these aging residential zones, especially the older flats and apartments.
Facilitating redevelopment by private developers.
Yes, but, and this is the crucial part he emphasized, while also trying to protect the rights of the people already living there, the existing owners, that's the tightrope walk.
Modernize, improve living standards, boost the economy maybe, but don't leave the current residents worse off.
That's the goal. And that one house for one house promise is central to that.
Right, he mentioned that specifically. One house for one house. Not just cash, but a replacement home, potentially better or bigger. That sounds reassuring for homeowners worried about being displaced.
It's designed to be reassuring, to shift the narrative from loss to improvement. But, like you said earlier, the consent part, that's where the real debate heats up.
The 80% threshold. Okay, let's talk about that. He highlighted it's now set at 80% owner consent. Why is that specific number so important or, well, controversial?
Well, it's a significant change. It basically means that if 80% agree, the project can move forward, even if 20% disagree. Before, needing almost everyone, or even 100%, often meant projects just stalled indefinitely.
Because one or two holdouts could block the whole thing.
Exactly. Or think about practical issues, owners who've passed away, untraceable owners. Those situations can gridlock redevelopment for years. So 80% is presented as a pragmatic way to unlock these projects.
Okay, so it addresses a real operational headache that stopped things happening before. Makes sense from a development perspective.
It does. It removes a major roadblock.
But then what about that 20%? People worry about their property rights even if they get compensation. Money doesn't always replace a home you've lived in for decades, right?
That's the heart of the concern, absolutely. Luke's position seems focused on the balance. He assures fair compensation for those who don't agree. The term fair compensation is obviously key here.
What does that usually mean? Market value.
Likely market value assessments, maybe help with relocation, things like that. The goal is to ensure nobody is left materially disadvantaged. But you're right, the emotional attachment, the community ties, that's much harder to compensate for. The argument seems to be that when a large majority, 80% as a supermajority, agrees, the collective benefit of revitalizing the whole area has to be weighed against the absolute veto of a few. It's prioritizing the community good while still providing material fairness to dissenters.
So it's presented as a trade-off. Individual veto power is reduced, but hopefully the process unlocks needed progress, and those who disagree are still treated fairly financially.
That seems to be the core message. Pragmatic problem solving for the wider benefit.
Looking at all his statements together, it really does feel like the Democratic Action Party, through him, is pushing this narrative. The unity government is focused on practical solutions for everyone. Better housing, modern cities, not just narrow party politics.
Definitely. It's a strategic communication, presenting a unified, effective government, tackling major national issues like urban decay. It's about building confidence in the coalition's ability to deliver.
And the 80% rule, controversial as it is framed as a necessary tool for that delivery, to actually get things done after potentially years of stagnation.
Yes, but the real proof will be in how it's implemented. Is the consent process transparent? Is the compensation truly fair? Is that one house for one house promise delivered equitably? That's what people will watch.
True. The execution is everything. So that gives us a clearer picture of the thinking behind the Urban Renewal Bill, at least from Anthony Loke's perspective,
Yeah.
and how it fits into the unity government's broader agenda.
It's a significant piece of legislation, potentially reshaping our cities and aiming to improve living conditions for many Malaysians. A critical issue for sure.
We hope this discussion gave you a better handle on the Urban Renewal Bill's goals and the thinking behind it. What do you think about this approach? That 80% consent threshold, is it a fair balance, do you think? Or does it tip too far one way? We'd genuinely love to hear your views, especially on how this might affect your own community.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.